That appears.
He took the bait.
Yeah, so
he
it
took
appears.
the bait show.
Hey guys, welcome to our winter anime seasonal draft, where we select the shows we think are the best for the upcoming season. Joining me as always are Carter and Replay Value, as well as our very special guest for the winter season, Lines in Motion. Dani, how's it going?
It's going good, yeah. I've got my heater on. I'm no longer cold. But no, I'm excited to be out. I'm excited that you guys asked me to join and excited to thrash everyone.
Wow. See,
we've been needing the shit talk. It's necessary.
No, the fall season was a little too nice, I think, so I think it's a good start. Those of you who watched last season will know how this goes, but for anyone just joining us, here's our rules breakdown. The rules here are pretty simple. In the spirit of fantasy football, each of us is tasked with building the best possible team of 4 from any of the new anime airing in the upcoming season. The only shows eligible are the ones that start their broadcast in the season proper, so the second half of a 2-course show or a long-running anime are not available for selection. Once a show has been selected, it is off the board, and no one else is allowed to draft it. OVAs and TV anime are fair game, but films are not, given their odd release times outside of Japan. The 4 rounds will progress in snake draft format, where each round will draft in reverse order of the round prior. So the last person to pick in the first round will pick first in the second round. The 4th and final round will be our Sleeper Lightning round, where contestants are only allowed to draft brand new shows, no sequels. The winner will be decided at the end of the season via a combination of audience vote, our rankings, and Mal aggregate score per team, to better decide who has the best group of shows. But what that actually means is still up for debate. And by all means, let us know who you think won the draft in the comments below. Okay, and our draft order is our guest Dani first, then Carter with the second pick again. We'll see if you can pull off an Undead Unluck-esque pick for the second season in a row.
We'll see.
Then Replay third, and then I have the 4th pick this time around. So, Dani, we'll start with you. Similar to Shaw last season, I think I know where you're going here, but where are you going here with our first pick?
So I'm going to go with the very obvious Dungeon Meshi, or Delicious in Dungeon, however you'll know it as.
Yeah.
The reason I went with this one is simply because it's my favorite studio doing my favorite manga. It's just a combination of kind of everything that I've wanted from a show. It's an interesting one because it's a new series director for Trigger. It's Yoshihiro Miyajima, I think his name is. He's done some episode work for stuff like B&A, Little Witch Academia, Kisnaiva. So it'll be interesting to see his take on an entire show, because he did a PV for Dungeon Meshi a few years back. Everybody loved it. And then we found out, oh, it's just a PV. It's not like an actual anime announcement. So I could not be any more excited for this show. And then Bumper Chicken are doing the opening as well. So it's just a win-win for me.
Getting a Bump of Chicken OP is always a great time. Famously, big Bump of Chicken fan. Kekai Sensen OP is my all-time favorite. But speaking of music, Dungeon Meshi also has Yasunori Mitsuda doing the soundtrack. And Yasunori Mitsuda is, in my opinion, the greatest video game composer of all time. Hits like Chrono Trigger. This guy is a legend. Everything he touches is gold. I could not be more excited.
Oh yeah, I think this would have been my first pick. I think it would have been all of our first pick if we had the first pick here, right?
Yeah. I would have taken it first for sure.
I think it's got everything going for it, to be fair.
Triggered basically never miss. I'm interested to see them adapt a manga though, because I feel like this is the first time they've done that, and like the only other adaptation I can remember them doing is Cyberpunk, right? And that's kind of its own original thing as it is.
They did do a light novel. It's like a really unknown project to theirs. I can't remember what it's called though.
It's like when supernatural battles becomes commonplace, and that's like the Trigger show nobody ever talks about. Yes.
I only ever see that.
Incredibly famous voice acting performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the source material, but it just seems like a good time. Like, I have some friends that don't even really watch anime that have heard about it and just think it would be something fun to watch. So I think it's definitely going to have a solid audience.
I feel like for me, it's kind of got, you know how like when Mob Psycho came out and it was really loved, but it also had a lot of artists on Twitter who absolutely loved the series and did like like traditional art, and then you had a lot of meme art. I feel like Dungeon Meshi is going to get loads of that because some of the scenes in the show are so goofy that I feel like so many people are going to play into that.
A lot of what I've seen of people posting on Twitter has been like the reaction sort of paneling of like characters reacting to things, and Trigger always does that so like incredibly, like do it so well with their over exaggeration and stuff that I feel like that's just like a match made in heaven with how like that manga works with its comedy and then how Trigger likes to animate its comedy. It just feels like they're the perfect studio for it.
Yeah, 100%.
Carter, it is once again your time. You have every other show on the board. What are you taking here with number 2?
You know, the Undead Unluck experiment was a great time. I had fun watching that show, but this time I think I'm going to take it a different direction. I'm going to go with solo leveling.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, I've heard so much about the source material. I just am excited to see what everybody's hyping about. Hopefully it's a decent actual adaptation. I mean, A1 Pictures is A1 Pictures, but what I've seen from like the PVs and stuff look decent. So, basically just picking this one off of the hype of all of the people who have talked about solo leveling for a couple of years now. So,
yeah, like the production for what I could see from the PVs looks like SAO, which is a good level of production. Again, the show itself feels kind of like SAO. Again, my notes for it, I have SAO on steroids, kind of that sort of. It's like a power fantasy from what I know about it. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think a show worthy of going in the first round. So I think he did a little bit better here than he did last time, in my opinion.
And it's Sawano's doing soundtrack, right? So,
yes.
I mean, you can't go wrong with that. That's should be a good time.
Yeah, Sawano
also
on the
doing
soundtrack.
the OP, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Which is a good combo.
With TXT, with Tomorrow X together.
I might be the only source reader here. I've read this manhwa. It's real, especially the stuff that will be adapted for like what our vote is considering is extremely fun. It's not getting to the best material, but after that, it in my opinion, kind of falls off. But anyway, solo leveling is really fun if they can handle the action and the like dramatic stakes, especially in the first 2-3 episodes. I think this is a great pick. My one concern is, of course, that manhwa series. I feel like there's some weird, like what was it? God of High School. Like God of High School got a pretty bad rap. Like sometimes like anime fans just are very particular about what country the story of origin is from. Like you see that a lot with like Link Click discussion. People just don't like it because it's a Chinese animation. Story and animation. So that's my one concern in terms of like the popular vote, but I have high hopes for solo leveling being living up to its manhwa.
If we get anything like God of High School, I'll be pleasantly happy because
it'll
that show is ridiculous, but I had a great time watching that.
So I actually didn't have this in my top 3. I had this at 4. Not for any like horrible reason. I'm like, oh, I don't think it's going to be good. I think it'll be good. It's just... maybe this is my own, my own Twitter bubble, my own biases, but I had heard so much about this series while it was being like published, like while the manhwa was still coming out, and tons of people like, you have to read this. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And in the last year or so, I feel like I haven't heard a lot about it. I haven't heard a lot about like, oh, I'm so excited for the anime to come out. I don't know if that's just, happens before the show comes out and it'll come out and everyone will be like, oh, I'm so loving, so cool. But that just put me off just a little bit, that it kind of felt like more people were excited when the PV, like when the announcement dropped for it, than like, oh, it's airing in 3 weeks, So that was, maybe I psyched myself out, but that was how I went about thinking about solo leveling.
All right, should we go to me?
Replay, where are you going with the third pick here?
With the third pick in the winter 2024 anime draft, seasonal anime draft, I'm going to take Sign of Affection.
I don't think you want to.
I'm so glad that you both reacted that way. The trailer footage is going to be amazing. Sign of Affection, Dani can definitely speak more to the story, why they're a fan of the manga. I'll just say that for me, the PV looked fantastic. I'm a fan of like this kind of light romance kind of show. And then really this was the nail in the coffin for me. It's directed by Kakushigoto's director. And if anyone knows anything about me, it's that I love Kakushigoto. I mean, that's not true. People know I love Hyoka. But the second thing that people might know about me is that I'm a huge fan of Kakushigoto. It's the same studio. I'm very excited for this. And also, I knew that Ian would take it if I didn't take it. So I had to steal it here. And sorry, Dani, but there was no universe in which this was falling in your second round.
God damn it. Yeah, this was my second pick. I didn't think I was going to get it, to be fair. But the biggest reason for me was that this is one of the currently highest selling shoujo manga at the moment, if not the highest, I think. It's one of. But it's got such a massive audience already that I know that so many people are just going to watch it anyways because of having the manga source material. But also the person who's working on the music did March Comes In Like a Lion, and I loved that soundtrack.
Oh, it's Yukari Hashimoto?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Great. Oh, I'm even more psyched.
I know. So I'm absolutely devastated that you took it.
Sorry.
So when we set the draft order before we started recording, this is why I wanted the second pick, because I wanted the second pick, and I was just going to take a sign of affection. I was good, locked in, because I didn't know if Carter would take it, which obviously that wound up being correct, but I knew if you were ahead of me, you would take it. And there it is off the board. You know, I don't know too much about it, haven't read it, but I do know, again, it's like one of the more popular shoujos that I see. I've had it recommended. You know, it's a college-age romance, which for a lot of people is a big selling point. A unique angle on that romance too. And then just doing some research on it, it was nominated for the Kodansha Manga Award in the shoujo category, both in 21 and 22. Lost out to A Condition Called Love and Nina the Starry Bride, both of those years. But, you know, from what I learned last season of disregarding the Kodansha Manga Awards and then watching Shangri-La Frontier be one of the better shows in the shoujo category, in the shonen category, the shonen category this past season. Not a shoujo, it is a shonen. So now I, make sure to check that sort of award. And there was a sign of affection there. So wonderful pick. I think that'll be one of the best shows of the season. Hard stop. I want to bash on your team, but I can't right now. Very unfortunate.
Well, my team only consists of one.
And it's a good one.
I kind of had this in the same like Apothecary Diaries last season, where like I watched the PV and it looked good. It doesn't really look like something like my kind of thing, so that's why I passed on it. But it definitely, I think it's a good pick. So I
mean, this definitely is my Apothecary Diaries of this season. Did you see the reactions I got from these two? Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. So Ian, it's off the board. What will you take fourth and then fifth?
That is 3 of my top 4 off the board in the first 3 picks. That is a little unfortunate. So with my 4th overall pick, the last pick here in the first round, I'm going to take The Witch and the Beast here with the 4th pick. that appears.
He took the bait.
Yeah, so it
took
appears
the bait show.
God damn it.
That there was one show that Replay thought was, not going to be good, and I guess it was that one.
Correct.
So it's a it's a seinen. Literally, my notes for this show, I have one note for this show. It says "Fanged woman go burr." So that's kind of how I feel about watching the PV. Very into the 2 main characters. I think the designs are really nice. Very interested in this sort of mystery, duo sort of fantasy setting. The director does have a lot of credits, but no real directorial credits that jumped out to me. So a lot of it was work on Psycho-Pass, work on Kuroko no Basket, a long list of animation credits. I think the first one on there was like Ranma 1/2, almost 30
You
years
didn't
ago.
love Sorceress Stabber Orphan?
No.
That wasn't a big one for you?
No, so this is strictly a pick I'm making because I think the story will be interesting and intriguing. I'm not exactly excited about the production. Only one, as of our time of recording, there's only one teaser PV out. It looks good, it looks passable, but nothing that blew me away. The studio is Yokohama Animation Lab, which is just kind of a lot of fantasy or isekai stuff, and also Mirror Tights that was on there too. So that's fun.
Shout out.
So, like,
that a big one for you, Carter?
I just
that
started
Chihuahua on Mondays. That's a big one for you.
So I'm excited to see how the material, like, because the manga looks very interesting, but the production will be, can it be serviceable enough to basically set up the rest of this? So we'll see.
Have either of you three read the manga?
No.
It's pretty decent, to be fair. I can see why it has a following.
Haven't.
I didn't really think the PV gave much away. I feel like the PV trailer could have been a lot better because I don't feel like it sets a vibe for what it actually is about. There was a lot of like still panning imagery as well, which is always a number one concern when you're watching trailers, for me at least. I think it could be good though. I think considering what the previous picks were, this is a good pick, I think.
Yeah, Fanged Women Go Burr is definitely up my alley of genre of anime, but I think the PV just didn't stand out as much as other stuff, which is why I wasn't like super rating it, I guess.
One of my buddies who I was chatting with about seasonals, Alan of the channel Zelby, said, "This show's airing this season, I'm locked in." And then he watched the teaser and said, "I'm out. I'm fully out. They're gonna biscuit hammer this thing."
Hey, editing Ian here. We didn't realize this when we were recording, but the guy doing series composition for The Witch and the Beast is Yuichiro Momose, who also did series composition for Biscuit Hammer. I wish I was making that up. God damn.
So that to me is why, I saw for me, I looked at the trailer, I looked at the studio, I looked at the staff, and I was like, this is not going to be a good looking show. So that was my concern. But to Danny's point, and based off of hearsay, frankly, I hear the manga's quite good. So my fingers are crossed for you, but not really, Ian, because I do want you to lose badly.
I'm just hoping that they can put together a serviceable production that lets the source material at least show off what it does best.
If this winds up being good, I will apologize. But this was the show that I thought was bait.
That's fine. You can be wrong. That's fine.
I can also be right.
And then with my fifth pick coming into the second round here, I feel like, Replay, I feel like you know what I'm taking here because I wanted to take it a little later.
Fuck you!
But I'm taking Blue Exorcist Season 3.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's not... I didn't see that coming.
I love Blue Exorcist. There's dozens of us at this point that are I love Blue Exorcist. I'm so excited for the new season. So this was a show that I watched it back. God, 2011 was 2011 the first season of Blue Exorcist. I think it was
a while ago.
So I didn't watch it 2011, but I watched it right when I was starting to watch anime, which is almost 10 years now. And I was like, man, that was pretty good. The ending was kind of weird though, not knowing that is anime original. And then 6 years pass, season 2 comes out. Season 2 was really good. And then another 5 years passed, and oh, here's season 3. So, this is a show that I'm really committed in. This is a show I would be watching no matter what, even if I didn't draft it. So I really wanted to grab it here. I was hoping I could grab it a little later, but that's just the way my picks fell, right? And so, I'm very excited. From what I've heard from people, and I think maybe someone in this call right now, this is the manga reader's favorite arc. A lot of manga readers' favorite arc is the one they're adapting this season, so that excites me. It's Overworld back with the OP again. I love when shows can have consistency with the same band for the opening, particularly over the course of now 12 years between they did the first opening of the first season. So it's just a lot to like here for my point of view at the very least.
I think it's a fan favorite arc. I don't think it's just my favorite arc. I think quite a lot of people who are into Blue Exorcist really like it. I found that with Blue Exorcist, it's got a lot of I don't want to say old anime fans because that's not right in any way, shape or form, but even people who are watched anime even 10 years ago, which considering just how many people are getting into anime every single year now, I feel like a lot of people do actually like the show, and you'll have a lot of people like, oh my god, it's back again. I just don't know. I didn't watch the PV actually. I should have done that. So I don't know what the production looks like, but I'm looking forward to it nonetheless. It would be like if Noragami came back. It kind of has that same
Don't do this
vibe.
to me, Danny. I need it bad, so bad.
I know,
If
same.
only. Please bring Noragami back.
So the odd thing,
Studio Voln
Yeah.
did Back Arrow. They did Pancreas. They've got some good productions in their back pocket. Back Arrow, I mean, what a wild ride that was. Anyway,
yeah, I was gonna say the most interesting thing for production looked solid from the PV, not any worse or better than the last 2 seasons. The only note thing that I had was that it's not A1 anymore, it's Studio Voln. And obviously Replay just shout out a couple of things they've done. I was interested though is that the director is Daisuke Yoshida, and he has experience directing episodes of Hunter x Hunter. Has done quite a few, about a dozen or so Hunter x Hunter episodes when he was with Madhouse. So it's just a level of shonen action chops that made me a little more confident in how at least this is going to look week to week. I'm excited about my 2 picks, but we'll see. There are some shows coming up that I really like. I just wasn't confident enough to take them 4 or 5, so I'm excited to see where you guys go here. The rest of the second round. Replay, where are you going with your number 6?
well, I just want to say, Ian, I love your first 2 picks because I was not taking either of them no matter what happened. So that makes my life a lot easier. Except that now I've still got my 3 and my 5 on my board. And I'm gonna play it a little bit risky. I will be upset if someone takes my number 3, but I'm gonna take 5 because I think it's more likely to get stolen. So I'm gonna take Metallic Rouge, Rogue. Another great Dani reaction, another Carter reaction. Best draft ever, guys. I just gotta say it. Okay, so Metallic Rouge is it's Bones. It's Bones' anniversary project, which, I mean, there's really not much to say about anniversary projects. It's just an excuse to get together and make a cool original show. Watching this PV, I was pretty blown away by how cool it looked, the mech designs. But again, coming back to music, the composer is, of course, Taisei Iwasaki, who did the Kekai Sensen soundtrack, which, if you were to ask me, is the best anime soundtrack to ever exist. Or maybe number 2. Number 1, that's a secret. But yeah, it looks very cool. At the end of the day, I mean, I believe in Bones as a studio, even through what has happened the last few years. And I just have faith that at the end of the day, this is going to be a fun and gorgeous anime, even if it winds up being a total mess from a story perspective.
Yep,
Yeah.
that was my next pick right there. So once
same.
again, sniped. The character designs also just look really good.
Totally.
And the world looks cool, so yeah,
we
definitely
know-
excited for that one.
Do we know if this is like the Carol and Tuesday cinematic universe, or it just happens to be the same
It's-
director and like a similar sort of premise?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like actually tied to it, but
I haven't seen
that was
it.
another reason.
Watanabe has no connection to this, so I would be shocked. Or at least
My
like
num-
nothing that we've seen officially.
My number 1 reason for picking this is because Tomoyo Kurosawa is playing one of the main characters, and she's easily one of my favorite seiyus, like, out there. Her and Megami Han, like, if they're in a show, I'm watching it.
Love that.
Oh, I can't believe you took that. The music in the trailer alone, I was like, now hold up a sec.
It was
What's
so
this
good.
jazz? Like,
No, the plot looked very Blade Runner-esque, at least the synopsis, right? I don't know how they're gonna wind up folding that into actually how it works, but it's like Android, and they have to like hunt other androids. So that was very
On
interesting.
Mars.
To me. On Mars. And then obviously, like you said, the music is going to be incredible. Also with Iwasaki, they also listed in the music, I don't know how much he's going to wind up doing, is Toate, who helped doing some of the Super Crooks stuff, like the Super Crooks the actual Super Crooks opening, not the Ellie Goulding song that has been memed onto that clip.
Light.
And he's just like an electronica legend, and from my knowledge, one of the only people you can find working on anime that has a Billboard top 5 like Hot 100 hit in the US back in the early 90s. And so
Yeah.
like just the music, I think the music in that show is going to be incredible. And I, obviously in retrospect, I kind of wish I had taken it instead of, we'll see what happens with Witch and the Beast. But I was a little worried about original, where's the story going to go? Is it going to just completely fall off a cliff at some point? So
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a fair concern. I guess I just, Yutaka Izubuchi is the series composer. And I was just looking at like what he had written, what else he had series composition for. And I was like, these are acceptable. Like nothing that made me jump away like scared. I'll put it that way.
Okay, Carter. So obviously you were taking this with your
Yeah.
pick, but what are you taking here with your second pick?
Well, that was definitely my next pick. This next pick, I honestly don't know how good this show is gonna be, but it's literally just the skate fan in me.
Yes.
So I'm gonna take Bucchigiri.
Yes, dude. Let's go.
Just watching the PV, it reminded me of Skate, and it's the same director, and it's Studio Mappa. So I mean, after Metallic Rogue, my list is getting very thin, and this was the one that caught my eye. So.
Oh no, my list is a mess right now.
Same.
I love this pick, Carter.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
not only is it Skate's director, but the director is also the original creator.
Yep.
So, like, it's the exact same creative vision. Skate Infinite was fantastic. Bucchigiri doesn't look like it will be as like to me. The premise doesn't seem as much fun, but you gotta just. I'm a believer in the creative vision. I'll just put it that way.
I watched the PV and I couldn't tell you a single thing that happened.
It seemed like a lot of chaos, and skate
Just
was a little
delinquents.
easier to follow with it being, about skating, and this was just like a classroom full of people. But the character designs looked goofy like Skate, so I'm hoping it can at least ride that high a little bit.
Yeah, Mal had the genre listed as delinquent, and that's it. That was the only thing in the genre section. So, we'll see. Obviously, everyone has kind of alluded to it as Hiroki Utsumi as the director and as the original creator of this original anime, the creator of Skate. I threw in here, directed 3 episodes of Hyoka. So that's exciting.
Is that true?
There's a lot of
Directed-
Kyoani that
Yeah.
they've worked on, yeah.
They worked at
Interesting.
KyoAni
That's
for
amazing.
most of their career was at KyoAni because they also directed the first season of Free, and then left and then directed Banana Fish, and then Skate was the last full production that they worked on prior to, probably was that 3 years ago, right? So probably then went into pre-production for this show with Mappa. Again, Mappa. That's the only reason I didn't have this higher, is because I'm like, what is the production timeline actually going to look like for this show? Like, did they actually give them a couple of years and it's going to be, a smooth production, or is this going to be halfway through and it's going to look like a mess because they don't have enough time to work on it? So that was my biggest concern.
I think some people complained about the end at the latter half of Banana Fish, which I'm pretty sure they were involved with as well. So
Yes.
yeah, I don't know what the scheduling is going to be like for it.
Can't wait for episode 8 comes out, and then hey, we're taking a 3-month hiatus, and then we'll be back with the rest of the show.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Dani, it's finally it's your it's once again your choice here.
Oh, I'm
You get
exhausted.
back to back.
Yeah, you have 2 in a row.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Mr. Villain's Day Off,
Okay.
which I think is a throwball. However, I looked at the other stuff on the list and nothing really shouted out to me. Maybe it's just because it's not stuff that I watch. Because I know there's another series which I guarantee someone's going to pick after me. But this one is a shoujo that's about a villain who... It's like a slice of life. So he just wants a day off from being a villain. But the manga is like really, really good. And when I watched the trailer, it actually looked pretty decent production-wise.
Mhm.
I feel like it could be like one of those sleeper hit kind of ones. But I did look at the director stuff, and it's like episode director of stuff. Like there's some Naruto in there, some Skip Beat. I think this is them.
I was
Bem?
gonna my biggest
they
note.
directed them?
My biggest note for this is they directed Bem because it's like a show
Oh,
that I like
no.
is like I feel like no one remembers, but like sits in the back of my mind for not entirely great reasons.
I don't know
Bro,
what
show
that
was
is.
so bad.
I
Bem
don't-
was awful.
I don't think it was a direct like it wasn't like the direction's so bad, but the show itself just
No.
was not good.
I feel like because this is an adaptation, hopefully, if it follows the manga, it'll be decent. So that was my pick for that one.
Yeah, watching
then-
watching the PV for this, I was one of those shows where it wasn't like grabbing me exactly, but I was like this. I wish some of the other shows on this list that I think have good premises looked like this. Because watching the PV, I was like, this show looks really good, but it, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. Is how's the comedy gonna hit, stuff like that. But like the production from the PV at least looked very, very high quality.
It kind of reminds me of the same vibe as it was a show that came out either last year or the year before, and it was the guy who's a skeleton who works at the bookstore. I forget what it's
Like
called.
Kanada-kun
Was
or
it?
something.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was
Something.
yeah.
That was kind of like a sleeper hit as well, because I saw some hit tweets from that series, so I was like, okay, I'll dip my toes in that a little bit. But my pick after that is Classroom of the Elite.
Wow.
Can I do it?
Hey.
Yeah.
Now, this is so funny
I didn't
because,
expect that at all.
well, I'm picking it based on this alone because I'm not actually a massive fan of the show.
Okay.
Okay.
I
Hater
just know
energy
that
strong.
it's not even. Well, actually, no, I did drop it in season 1. It's more so just because I know it's really popular, and from what I know of season 1 and 2, the production stayed steady, and it's the only one that I'm familiar with throughout the rest of the list. Because I haven't seen Mashal. That's it. Yeah, I haven't read Mashal. I know it's relatively big because it's Shonen Jump.
Yeah.
Is it? I think.
Yeah, it's Shonen Jump.
Yeah.
However, I didn't know if that was going to be an Undead Unlook situation as well. So I went with Classroom of the Elite just because I know it already has its fans and it's Studio Lurch again. So
So this is our Eminence and Shadow of this season then.
Yeah.
This is like when I
it,
took
yeah.
Eminence and
this pick, Danny.
You did what I did last season, where I took Evidence in Shadow, having never watched it, because I was like, well, people like it, so therefore.
fingers crossed. I couldn't even tell you what season 3 is about.
I'm gonna guess they're gonna do some mind games, and then there's gonna be some sort of YouTube slice of like Sigma grind set. You gotta act like the main character of the show video that's gonna come out of this. That's like all I know. It's like all I know about the show.
Yeah, how can I be Ayanokoji, right? Like, I'm shocked. I just can't. I thought for sure no one was picking that show out of this group. I thought that was gonna be like the very popular continuing season that like we don't draft, like in the same way that like no one drafted Goblin Slayer last season and no one drafted
Shield Hero.
Seihei no Paladin, like which had popular first series, and we didn't draft them because I think for the most part we didn't watch them and or disliked the previous stuff. I can't speak to Classroom of the Elite. I have touched zero of it. And Danny, I hope for your sake it's popular and it does well. Which I would not be saying if Carter or Ian had taken it.
I do see it get talked about a lot, so there's that.
No, it feels
In
like
good ways, though.
Well, yeah, like it feels like it could have been a first round pick. Like that's the level of hype and the amount of talk I see about it. I just don't know enough about the ins and outs of the series to be like, yes, I feel confident.
Neither do I.
So yeah, you took you took a Hail Mary on it. We'll see what happens.
I love the risk.
Okay, then
Carter.
we're back to Carter. What are you taking here?
Okay. See, this is tough because there's still like a lot of sequels on the board, and if I want one of them, I have to take it in this round.
Yeah.
But last season when I took the sequels, it didn't feel like it was a great, like nobody was talking about Dr. Stone or Girlfriend, one of those for better reasons than the other, but didn't really feel like the sequels hit as much, so I'm gonna just shoot for Sengoku Youko.
No shot. took this.
I'm so fucking mad.
Yeah,
I was one pick away.
I had a feeling. I mean, it's Studio White Fox, and so I'm a huge ReZero fan, so I'm sure there's like nothing related, but I do like Studio White Fox. And then I think the music is Evan Call, who I'm pretty sure did Frieren.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
That was the
in
This is
Minecraft.
trauma.
In Minecraft.
that was the one thing that stood out about everything else is if I can get any slice of Frieren in this next season, I'm gonna take it. So
I thought I had like the best sleeper pick ever. I was like, no one's gonna. This is like an older shonen. Like, no one's going to be like, oh, this is the show I need to take. I'm so
How could you have
sad.
thought that, Ian? Satoshi Mizukami is my favorite
Yeah,
mangaka. There was
I
no
knew-
universe that this wasn't getting taken.
this was the one thing that like the picks shaped up in my favor because I got 2 in between replay, so I was like, I can get that with the next one before replay picks. So
I'm so sad. I guess I mean, it was literally between this and Metallic Rouge for me in round 2. Like it was either Sengoku Youko, which I have 3 on my board, Carter. So this is the steal of the draft. This manga, I mean, I am a huge sucker for Mizukami's works. Every single one of his manga is in my like top 10 basically. And Sengoku Youko is getting done by White Fox, so you don't have to worry about getting biscuit hammered, which just, I guess, makes me want to not be here and play Minecraft, I guess. Read between the lines, audience. Wow, I'm so salty, dude. Okay, here is my one concern and why I decided to go with Metallic Rouge instead of Sengoku Youko is that as a manga reader, I know that the material that will be on display for our like voting period, the quote unquote first core, is not the good stuff. There is some good stuff here, but this manga elevates and goes into like fucking insano mode in what will be the second and third cores. So in a theoretical world in which we did continuing votes, I don't even know if we would have gotten here because obviously Frieren would have been first overall. But Sengoku Youko, I mean, God, what a pick, man. I'm so mad.
Makes me feel a little bit better knowing I wouldn't have gotten it with my last pick here in this round anyway.
I was
But
one
it's
away.
Still,
This is karma for a sign of affection.
Yeah, you're not kidding. That and Metallic Rouge. Jeez.
I'm like really excited for this. This is like one of my top shows that I'm like interested in watching, and I wish I'd had it higher because I didn't think other people were going to take it until maybe the last round.
This one completely went over my head. I'll be honest.
Wow.
I haven't even heard of the series, so I need to do some research. Clearly,
I highly recommend the manga if you're trying to get through it. Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah, Ian, I thought you were gonna take this with your 5th pick. I thought for sure this was gonna be your 5th instead of Blue Exorcist.
Yeah, so obviously retrospect, I think I would bump this and Metallic Rogue up probably a little bit higher, but it's fine. Everything's fine. I'm having a great time. Okay, replay. Where you going here now that we know you can't take Sengoku Youko?
Yeah, I really thought I was gonna do another season of 0 sequels and just like new stuff, and it was gonna be hype. But I'll take BokuYaba season 2.
Is this the
I don't
Dangers
really have a
in
lot
My
to
Heart?
say. I believe so.
Okay.
okay.
Got it.
Yeah, Dangers in My Heart.
Got it.
It was a very popular first season. The animation was good in the first season. It seems like a pretty fun rom-com, but really why I'm taking this is that my good friend Jack from Under the Scope and Gianni from Subtitled Anime fucking love this manga and this that might be strong, but they really, really like it and they speak very highly of it. And to quote Jack specifically, quote, he gets better, referring to the main character who's apparently somewhat of a loser in the first season. So I'm looking forward to. I'm pulling an Ian. I haven't seen the first season, so now
everybody
I'm gonna have to
got
catch
mad
all the
at
way
me
up.
for doing this last season, and now all of a sudden everybody's doing it.
Not everyone, and I wouldn't have had to if Carter had not taken my pick. But yeah, I think Yeah, I'm hopeful that that'll be good. And getting a rom-com is never a bad time. Actually, though, I've kind of really indexed into rom-coms. I've got 2 of them.
Yeah, I was surprised by how much good stuff I heard about the first season. I remember when I saw like the original PV, I was like, oh, just seems kind of weird and uncomfortable. But then a lot of people I know watched it and said it was good and cute. So I'm sure season 2 will be a good time.
Yeah, because the premise, right, is that it's like he fantasizes about like murdering his classmates. He's like a loner. But then, like, that goes away. It's pretty much just the start of the story, and then, like, that kind of isn't really a thing anymore. He's, like, not actually an edgelord. He's just kind of, like, a loser for a little bit, and then it just kind of becomes the relationship with him and the main girl. Like, Neely really liked this replay, so she really liked the first season as well, so got that.
Well, I've got 3 people who I trust for the most part who all think it's good, so I gotta just take their word for it.
If I'd known that they recommended it as well, I probably would have picked that.
Dani is my wingman. I mean, no one has been more approving of the anime I've taken.
Oh boy, I don't.
All right, Ian,
know.
you want to take the turn?
Yeah, So my top 8 is completely gone, but I have 9 and 10 still on the board. 9, 10, and 11. And if I want to take 11 as a sequel, so if I want to take that, I'd have to take it now. But I think I might just, at this point, I'm just going to take the 2 non-sequels and like hope one of them takes off at this point, because I already have a sequel. So I do want to shout out Tomozaki-kun real quick. 2nd season of that is coming out this year, but I'm gonna skip it to try and just take 2 shows that could be good, could be bad, don't know. So with my first pick here, or my first of the 2 here, I'm going to take Sasaki and Peeps, which is the most interested I've been in an isekai in quite a while.
Oh, is this
That was one of my picks.
It is the one. It is the one where Aoyuki is the bird who's technically a sage from another world.
Wow.
And
just the name alone.
Yeah. So this is a show that I had never heard of, and then it had a giant banner up at Anime NYC that I went to about a month ago, and there's a big panel, and the huge panel room, it was completely filled. It was sold out, it was completely reserved. So that put me onto this. Like, okay, there are some light novel fans that are interested in this series and excited about the production. The voice cast is like cracked. Like Aoyuki is the bird. And then Inoue
Sugita in there.
Sugita is the main guy, like the older businessman. Then you got Inoue Minase is in there. Daisuke Namikawa is in there. Akari Kito, Jun Fukuyama, but which is basically like half of the Persona 5 Japanese voice cast right there. And then this also, this light novel placed again, I don't know how much weight I should put on this, but it placed first last year in the This Light Novel is Amazing guidebook, which is like a fan poll of light novels in Japan. And other award winners over the years have been like Snafu, Ascendance of a Bookworm, Certain Magical Index, Spice and Wolf. So it was enough of a pedigree that I was like, okay, I mean, these people seem to sort of know what they're talking about.
Yeah, that one definitely stood out amongst the for this draft pick when I was going through the PVs. Just looked like a fun time, so I think it's a decent pick for 4.
And then on to the speed round. So our final round now, you cannot take sequels anymore. Sequels are off the board. You have to take a new show. And I guess my theme of this draft is shows that I thought the premise was intriguing and I'm really worried about the production. So I'm taking Ishura here.
Saw that one coming.
With my last pick. The story and the premise are like very, very interesting. It's one of those like the demon lord has been defeated, but there are all these other powerful individuals basically vying for power in this world. Looks fairly gritty.
I think that's just described about like 50 different isekai.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, for sure. Insert generic isekai here.
But the PV grabbed me enough. It looked fairly the story looks fairly interesting. The voice cast is also very stacked in this one. Yuki Kaiji, Rie Takahashi, Takito Koyasu, Akio Otsuka, Jun Fukuyama again. So again, the voice cast I'm very excited about. Not as excited about the studio, which is Passion. I don't know how to... Passion, which is like, they did Roku no Yusha, which looks fine, and then like Citrus and Rail Wars and Mirko-chan a couple seasons ago. We'll see. I don't know. The light novel also won that This Light Novel is Amazing guidebook vote the year before Sasaki and Peeps won it. So I'm putting all my eggs into this fan vote of light novel readers from Japan. So
It's dire out there.
Yeah.
It really is this far down. Pretty brutal.
Okay, Replay, where are you going?
So I have my 8 and my 9 still on the board. And I would go with my 8, but I have a feeling that I will leave it for either Carter or Dani to take, because I assume one of them will. And I'm actually a little bit more excited for my 9, which is Pon no Michi, which is a cute little, I guess it's cute girls doing cute things, I guess is the best way to describe it. It's by Studio OLM, which doesn't have the best work practices, but I think we all have to agree the anime look pretty good at the end of the day. Not that I'm not writing off how it's portrayed in Zom 100. Don't need to do that. So for context, where are my notes? Okay, so the director directed Fire Force Season 2 and Shaw's secretly really good pick of Shut In Vampire Princess. Same director. And then the character designs are by the quintuplets mangaka, Negi
really?
Haruba. Yes. So, and I just like, I was a fan. I have high hopes for this show, and I've really gone all in with just rom-coms and cute girls this season, which is almost the exact opposite of my draft last season. So maybe this is a good trend line, maybe it's not. But yeah, I'm honest. Like when I discovered this in my way scrolling through the chart, I was like, wow, I can't believe this is higher. This seems like it would be way more popular. And I think if you're on the fence, folks, watching, give the PV a watch. Maybe it'll be up your alley.
Yeah, I kind of got some of the same vibes. Like when I saw the PV, I was just like, oh, it's like quintuplets almost, but completely different
They're
like
not
story
quintuplets.
around them. Yeah. But
They're
it's just
playing
like
games.
it's just like cute, like a good cute time, and the character designs are good. So I think that's another respectable round 4 pick.
Thank you, Carter.
I had this at 29 on my list.
Wow.
Just thought to let you know about that. I watched this PV and I was not grabbed by it at all, and kind of just thought it looked like a throwaway, generic sort of they're playing games together show. So
It's a good thing that your PV watching skills have definitely been proven to matter by your Witch and the Beast first pick.
thought it looked okay.
No, it didn't. No, it did not.
Carter, what are you taking?
So yeah, I'm gonna go with Kime-sama Gomon. It's I guess it's called Tis Time.
Torture Princess.
Yeah. And honestly, literally the only reason I'm picking it is because I like the character designs. I watched the PV and I wasn't sure exactly what was going on. Like the synopsis is literally just looks like she's like eating food and like having like a good time. So I was a little confused, but the character designs look really cute. So for a 4th round pick, that's what caught my eye.
Carter, this one gets the Taser Lad seal of approval. This was when Taser Lad was talking about upcomings with me. He specifically mentioned that this was a good one to keep your eye out on.
I can't
the
believe
manga
you have
is
access to all of our friends. You get like all of our friends to tell you what's good every season. The rest of us
they
are
were
out
my
here
friends first.
looking at the
Replay has a
mallet, trying to
scouting
figure
network.
out. Yeah, you have like scouts going out.
They've literally been my friends longer. So the one concern that I had and the reason why I decided to go with Pon no Michi, and this might actually be silly, but apparently the like comedy is very like one note. It is oh, we're going to torture you. Here's a delicious feast. Oh, I overate. Like, apparently that's kind of like the comedy, but it's apparently a very wholesome show as well, or story as well. And yeah, I'm a big fan of the character designs, as you alluded to, Carter. So this one, you know what, man? I give you a thumbs up on this one for sure.
Okay, Danny, let's close us out here. How are you rounding out your team with the 16th pick?
Okay. There was one earlier that someone mentioned, but I had to mute really quickly because I had someone come at the door. So I'm not 100% sure if this got picked already, but the Unwanted Undead Adventurer.
No,
all yours.
That is yours.
All yours.
Do I know anything about this? No.
I appreciate the honesty.
But I looked into the director because I literally looked at the rest of the list, and I mean, it's literally just isekai or well, no, just that pretty much.
It's slim pickings if you don't want an isekai.
But the director for this did do some episodes of Code Geass and Bakuman, so nice. I was like, that's better than nothing. They were also an episode director of Nodam Canterville, is that how you pronounce it, I think? And I've heard a lot of good stuff about that. And then one of the VAs voice Ishigami in Kaguya. So I was like, okay, you know, there's some things going for me here. And then the last point why I chose it was the poster. You know, the woman on the top left.
It did stay. I was like, this is a really good post. I was like, oh, this is going to be one of my shows. And then I watched the PV, and it is interesting. I'm actually quite interested in the premise, but the poster's really good. The poster, like, I was like, oh, this is going to be a good show.
I love how, like, the main characters are at the bottom, and then it's just, bam, these two women at the top that steal all the attention. But no, the PV looked decent enough. I mean, it wasn't anything that, you know, got me out my seat, you know, crying, having an existential crisis or anything, but it looked decent enough.
My notes for this one were kind of just like, you know, the premise is interesting. Is it going to be sort of like almost like a Dororo type show where he gets back parts of his humanity slowly over the course of the show, or is it just going to be he's going to be a skeleton for the entire time until the ending? That's what I'm interested in. Right? I kind of just feel like that sort of Dororo setup without sort of the character that series has in its setting and sort of the way it builds its rules. But still, you know, Diet Dororo is still a pretty solid setup for a story. And so that was definitely something that grabbed my attention when I was looking at it.
I'd heard about it, like whispers about it months ago, because it was light novel turned manga, now turned anime, so it already had quite a few fans separately for either the light novel or the manga. So that was one of the other reasons I picked it as well. Other than that,
you know, it's the last round. I don't think any of us are particularly confident in our final picks.
Yeah, I liked what you said, like, we going through the voice actor list, like, just seeing if there's somebody you like, because that's, like, what I was doing for, like, half of these shows, just to have something.
It's crazy how many, like, isekai that are all, like, in this, like, I guess what we'll call the amorphous, like, 12 to 20 picks. You had that one that Danny just chose. There's the wrong way to use healing magic. There's 2 villainous otomes out there. It's kind of crazy.
Okay, well, let's take one last look at everyone's teams here before we wrap up. You know, Danny, you started with Dungeon Meshi and then grabbed
Mr. Villain's Day Off.
Classroom of the Elite.
Classroom of the Elite.
Yeah. And then Unwanted Undead Adventurer.
And then Carter, you had
Solo Leveling, Bucchigiri, Sengoku Youko, and the Hime-sama Time for Torture.
That is a good team.
That's a pretty strong team.
That's a good team.
You know I want to shit talk Carter's team because that's my reason to exist, but goddamn, it's the second best draft and it isn't even close.
Yeah, I got some time this season to actually look at shows and paid off.
Carter, I'm not gonna lie, I really thought you were gonna draft Mato Seihei no Slave. I would have bet money going into this dread that you were gonna take that.
I couldn't believe it was so high up on like the Mal chart. It just looked.
It's
Reddit's insanely
Reddit's
popular.
favorite manga.
I took Sign of Affection, Metallic Rouge, not sure which one. Then I did not get Sengoku Youko, so I was forced to take The Dangers in My Heart Season 2, and then I wrapped it up with Pon no Michi.
Your first two picks were what I wanted my first two picks to be. I really wanted
Damn straight.
Sign of Affection and Metallic Rogue, but
I'm actually devastated.
Well, that
You
just
got
means
Dungeon
that everyone agrees that my draft was the best. Thanks to everyone.
Hold up.
I
Hold
think
The
Carter's
lack of contest.
I think Carter's was the best personally.
I think Carter's is the second best, mostly because Sengoku Youko is that show.
The way it started off, I was getting really worried again because like round 1 and 2, the picks I wanted got taken right before me again. I'm like, oh no, it's gonna happen again.
And then I have The Witch and the Beast, Blue Exorcist Season 3, Sasaki and Peeps, and Ishura are my 4. Which is, I'm going heavy on hope it's good.
It's very funny because I have, if you were to reverse your draft order, that is how I had your shows ranked. So your draft slowly got better by my ranking system.
That's very
as
funny.
you went further down the list.
So those are 4 of my top 10, which is what I wanted coming in. It's not necessarily the 4 I wanted from my top 10, but from that makes me feel a little bit better. But I felt much better last season when we were wrapping up than I do right now. Yeah. I feel like I'm
we all
relying
make
a
a pitch.
Yeah. I'll start then, since I was just going. Like, I'm relying a lot on the stories being interesting and the production being serviceable for at least 2 of my shows. And then hopefully Blue Exorcist can just recapture what it's had the last couple seasons and get the manga readers excited about it. I'm excited about it, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about my picks. I have Solo Leveling, which is like the just listening to the source readers and kind of has the hype behind it. So that was a good start. And then Bucchigiri, following up on my Skate fandom. So it's just personal interest. Sengoku Youko, I don't know a ton about, but it's got a good studio behind it. And like I said, Evan Call doing the music gives me a little slice of Frieren that I missed out on last season. And my last one is, kind of my homer pick, just picking based off of cute character designs, which keeps me on brand.
I took the case for my shows is simple. My first 2 picks, everyone wanted those picks. You can go back, watch Dani, Ian, and Carter's reactions, and that says everything you need to know about Sign of Affection and Metallic Rouge. As far as my other 2 picks, Danger in My Heart Season 2 and Pon no Michi, I'm trusting studio quality really on those. Season 2 of a popular rom-com that was well animated with a main character who gets better, allegedly. Shout out to Jack. And for Pon no Michi, I'm just going with my gut that it's going to be a cute girls doing cute things, which is always a good, surprisingly, frankly, does very well. So my fingers are crossed that that'll be a fun show that I don't drop after 4 weeks. The only way my draft could be better is if I had gotten Sengoku Youko. Shout outs to Carter. Or I guess also my draft could have been better if I had gotten Dungeon Meshi. Shout outs to Dani. But I was never getting that one. So I'm pretty happy with my draft.
Yeah, I will say pretty much every time somebody says they get better or it gets better, it does not get better. So we'll see about that one.
Hey, you bring that up with Jack. If Under the Scope says it, I have to take it as gospel. I know where my butter is breaded.
Mine is a very strong leader with not so skillful teammates.
Bro,
It's all about
Dani's
the
roasting
all-star.
their own roster.
Listen, you can win a game with a strong captain only. I've known it happen, very rarely. But
I think
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think last season was proof of that alone. Frieren was pretty strong.
I think with Dungeon Meshi, I feel like people would have picked it just for the Studio Trigger name alone.
Mm-hmm.
But because I've read the source material and know how good it is, it just adds on to how much I know it's gonna blow up. I've always compared it to Full Metal Alchemist in terms of its overall appeal. Because a lot of it, I don't know how much you guys know about the plot, but a lot of it, even in like family ties, the sense of humor, I think it just has an overall mass appeal. So I'm just relying on Meshi, but I do feel like Villain's Day Off could be a sleeper hit, hopefully. As for Classroom, I don't know. I'm sure fans of Classroom will let me know.
My goodness.
Yeah. A lot
Dani,
of hope.
I love Undead Adventure. I think that's going to be a really good pick for you. Your middle two, I'm not sold on, but I think Undead Adventure looks really fun. I mean, that PV looks really, really fun. And then you have Dungeon Meshi. That's the GOAT. Truly like a top 10 manga all-time level quality, getting adapted by Studio Trigger. Like, it's just such a no-brainer number one. Carter's Draft, as I said, phenomenal. Ian, I mean, someone has to lose, brother, and this is your time. You did Carter's Draft from last season, this season, and you should honestly feel a little bit embarrassed.
No, you're not wrong. Questionable first round pick, Shonen Jump sequel, second round pick. You know, we'll see. Maybe one of my last couple picks will be great, and then we'll.
Ian,
we'll
truly, when I say this, I really hope I get to eat my words on Witch and the Beast, because from manga readers, they deserve a good adaptation. No one deserves to get biscuit hammered. There is nothing worse than that.
All blue periods.
I hope you really enjoy Blue Exorcist season 3, and then I think Sasaki to Peachon might be really, really fun. Same with Ishura. It just comes down to, will the studios live up to the potential that you see in them?
I will just add, there was a show that I would have had high on my picks, which was Whisper Me a Love Song, but that got pushed to the next season. Otherwise, that would have been in my top 3. Because that's a really popular girls' love manga that's getting animated. But yeah, it got pushed to next season because
Is that the one that has like the Oregairu? Everyone thinks it's the Oregairu characters, Yukino and Yui. Is that the one?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. That's good knowledge for us next season.
It's
I
like,
guess.
Write that one down.
Oh wow, it does. It looks exactly like the Snafu characters. You're right.
I think that would have been a hit. But alas.
Okay, and then for our deciding the winner this season, we're doing it a little bit differently than last season. For fall, we just did 100% fan vote just to start out and make it a little simpler. For this season, we're going to change it a little bit, and we're going to do 50% will be decided by fan vote, 25% will be decided by the 4 of us voting on each other's teams. Obviously, you would rank. So what you would do is you would rank the other 3 teams 1, 2, 3. You wouldn't rank yourself because obviously you would put yourself first. Unless you have so much integrity that you wouldn't do that, but you know. And then
it would be damning, Ian, if you did rank yourself first. That would be damning.
And then 25% of aggregate mouse score between the 4 shows. And so, again, Dani, I think that might save you a little bit. I think you might get pretty good mouse
I'm
score.
gonna get number 1, clearly. You know.
Pretty good
Yeah,
mouse
Danny's
score.
definitely going to win with Classroom the Elite Season 3 as the real.
Getting like an 8.8 on Mal.
You never know. You never know. None of us know what happened this season, so.
That's true. Yeah, at the time of recording, we still don't know who won Fall 2023.
Yeah, that will be released in a video probably sometime in January, where we finally. So that's the thing. That was the hardest part I felt picking the shows this season, is I don't yet know if the Shaw strat of just taking Freerin and that's it will win you the vote. I don't know if having a couple of really good shows will win you the vote. So we'll see. And then we can kind of plan it for spring. We can have a little bit better idea.
I don't know if MF Ghost will win you the vote.
Oh man, you know what's crazy is Undead Unlocked actually is so much fun to watch too. Like, unironically, it's definitely a round 1 show.
I honestly thought like I had made the right decision for the first like 5 or 4 episodes, and then Spy Family hit its like peak, and then I was like, okay, well,
Yeah.
Spy Family was probably the move, but
Hey, you could have taken Pluto.
That was
Oh.
definitely not the move. So
I love that series so much as
so
well. Yeah.
Danny's even on my side for last season.
There
Hey,
you go.
Danny, can you really quickly, can you just tell the audience, vote for Replay's team? Apothecary
Don't
Diaries,
let him.
Pluto.
Don't let him force you into the.
I'm just saying.
vote for
You don't
fear
need
in
to-
everybody.
No.
Well, Carter,
You
Carter,
should,
are
but
you in
also
like
don't.
I'm not gonna win? I don't want replay to win mode. Is that what you're doing right now?
I mean, unless this is reaching all the MF Ghost fans, then you know who to vote for. But
Well, Danny, thank you so much for joining us. This was a great time.
Thank you for asking.
I hope you enjoyed as much as we did.
Absolutely. I mean, I wasn't a fan of, the low-key threats throughout. I feel like that number one is for me, but time will tell.
You gotta have faith in your draft. Danny, where can people find you if they're finding us through
Oh, God,
Ian
right.
or myself or Cardi G's TikTok, as opposed to your illustrious YouTube channel with incredible videos, folks. Please, if you haven't, visit Lines in Motion.
Thank you. You can either catch me on YouTube or on Twitter, and they're the exact same. It's just Lines in Motion with no capitals, because apparently I don't like grammar.
And then
Who
if
needs
you're-
grammar when you have Dungeon Meshi?
If you're willing, what's the next video you're working on?
It's about the summer Hikaru. I'll say that again. The summer Hikaru died, which is a manga that blew up recently. It's really big, and I'm hoping to either get it done either next week or the week after. So
Hopefully it should
Yep.
be out already. If you're watching this in the
Oh,
future
yeah,
for
right,
us, it should already be out, and you can go watch it right now.
just had a That's So Raven moment then. Like,
But thank you again, Replay and Carter. Thank you as always for this. I had a little bit less fun than I did last time, being the Carter of this draft. Now I know how you felt. Now I know how you feel.
can we not turn me into the adjective for that already?
Yeah, Ian, you really Ian'd this draft, I gotta say.
Well, thank you guys, and thank you for watching. If you're still here, please subscribe to all of everyone's channels here, as well as Carter's TikTok. And thank you for your support. And we'll see you first in the fall, wrap-up video, hopefully in a couple weeks, and then again for spring with a brand new guest. Thank you guys.
Bye.